Welcome to the Ben Weinrib Show. I am Ben Weinrib.
And I'm Max Harris.
As always, we've got a lot to talk to you guys about today. We're going to lead off with Vanderbilt's first win in basketball in what feels like 2 to 3 years. We're coming back to women's basketball, tennis, our favorite recurring segment, Star of the Week, what it's like to be a relative of a Vandy athlete, our new favorite segment, and then a new favorite recurring segment, more basketball, and tweet of the week. So, as I mentioned earlier, last night was the first win for Vandy basketball since SEC play started against Auburn. This was a kind of crazy game that looked like they might blow it a couple of points, but ended up being a nice 6-point victory, for Vanderbilt over Florida, a team they almost took down last year when they were number one in the nation.
Yeah, you would have thought the Commodores almost lost the feeling of what it was like to win. It was almost a month in between wins for this team. Came out against Florida. They won that game 67-61, as you can see. Siakam, Jones, LaChance, and Baldwin all in double digits, and it was the end of a 7-game losing streak for the Commodores, and now they have to start a winning streak as they get into an easier part of their schedule. But it was an absolute block party for both James Siakam and Damian Jones on this one. James Siakam had a season-high 5 blocks. It was tying his career high. Damian Jones had 4 blocks as well. You see Siakam and Damian there swatting him away inside. Big minutes for both those guys. Josh Henderson didn't get into the game. Luke Cornett didn't even play 10 minutes, so it was really James Siakam and Damian Jones all the way down low, and Damian Jones bounced back pretty well after some tough games, and as we've seen, as Damian goes, the team goes, so it was good to see him in double digits.
You know, they did not miss playing against Patrick Young at all. Having that big guy down low gone. Before yesterday's or Monday's practice, Stallings spoke in front of a couple of students who showed up and said, I don't know when this losing streak is going to end, but it's going to end soon, and here we are. It only took one more day afterwards.
Yeah, Vanderbilt played very aggressively in this game on both ends. As a result of that, a couple things happened. Vanderbilt took 42 free throws in the game, and James Siakam only took 1 field goal and still ended up in double digits, so that's just evidence of how many fouls Vanderbilt drew. Dorian Finney-Smith, the Gators' leading scorer, who absolutely torched Vanderbilt at Memorial Gym last year when the Gators beat Vandy by 3 when they were number 1 in the country. Finney-Smith fouled out with almost 9 minutes remaining in the game. So his impact was really neutralized because of that. So that was certainly big. And Damian Jones got more aggressive as well. Coach Stallings said that he brought Damian into his office the day of the game and told him that he had to be more assertive. And that certainly showed. Damian took advantage of a bit of a smaller team in Florida. You mentioned no more Patrick Young after he went on. So
yeah.
It was a good situation for Jones and Siakam, and they both took advantage.
Yeah, Vanderbilt out-rebounded them by about 15 total. The one downside of the game, besides Fisher Davis never seeing the floor, Stallings, what's up with that, is they had 18 turnovers to only 8 forced from Florida. That's not going to fly on the road.
Yeah, the point guard problem is just that. It's still a problem. Wade Baldwin playing the bulk of minutes at point guard. Shelton Mitchell's shooting has just not been anywhere where it needs to be for him to regain his starting spot, which I think he will reclaim and become a big leader on this team. But Wade Baldwin made a couple threes in this one, but he's not the guy who Vanderbilt wants bringing the ball up the floor most of the time. Tons of turnovers in the backcourt. Commodores got a ton of press, and they'd only seen press like that one other time. That was against Arkansas, and once again, they didn't handle it well. So a poor adjustment from them for that press, because Vanderbilt went up 15-0 in this game, and then Florida brought out the press out of a timeout, got 2 quick baskets without Vanderbilt even getting the ball past half court. They got a bucket, then they got a turnover and another bucket as Baldwin turned it over. So turnovers were big, and they were big in making this game close because it was a blowout early, although Vanderbilt never trailed.
Yeah, well, to defend the great Wade Baldwin IV, possibly the greatest Wade Baldwin, you know who had more turnovers than him? Riley LaChance.
You know who didn't have more turnovers than anybody? Carter Josephs.
Not going to let you slander my man, Wade Baldwin IV. Great in the interview room, too.
Wade Franklin IV.
Go check it out on YouTube. It's they did go 1-0 last night, so.
1-0 this week. Vandy will look to go 2-0 this week with South Carolina at home on Saturday. Certainly a winnable game, and if Vandy wants to get into position to get an NIT bid, they're going to have to start winning, and they're going to have to win every home game the rest of the year because big rivalry game against Tennessee a week from tonight, next Wednesday as well, and it all starts against South Carolina. Looks like the Commodores are back on track, so we'll see if they can turn a 7-game losing streak into a long winning streak.
Yeah, and as it always seems to go, basketball team, men's team's doing poorly, women's team does well, men's team finally wins, women's basketball loses 2 games in a row. They took their first loss to Mississippi State, who actually had their undefeated season ended by Vandy when they were number 14 earlier this year, got blown out 69-44. Nobody scored in double figures that game, and Rebecca Dahlman was their leading scorer at 8 points. That's a bit of a rough one. Coming up later, they played Florida, and they beat us in Memorial. Marquez Webb had 15 points and 12 rebounds, but not enough.
Yeah, Audrey Karangu-Joe has been pretty inconsistent this season in conference play, but she did not play in that Florida game. That allowed Marquez Webb to step up and get her first start in all of conference play. She had 15 points, 12 boards for her first double-double of the year for Marquez Webb, but it wasn't enough for the Commodores. You see the box there. They ended up losing by 9 to the Gators, who are not one of the SEC's top 7 teams or so. So it's a tough loss for Vandy at home on Super Bowl Sunday, and they're going to be looking to bounce back. This week they've got Ole Miss at home on Thursday night, and then they play Kentucky, who's a top 15 team, at home on Sunday. And just when Coach Balcom thought she had that rotation figured out, another injury to Karangu-Joe, who was sick for that Florida game, and also she's not getting the consistent effort that she thought she had finally found from some of her players. So unfortunately, the season's still a work in progress for the women's basketball team. Both men's and women's basketball are on 3-game homestands right now, so it's an opportunity for both to turn it around. Women 0-1 so far. Men, as you heard from Wade Franklin IV, 1-0 this week. So we'll see if they can take advantage of the home floor.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, in other news, tennis beat number 48 Michigan 4-3-7-2. 4-3, and Michigan is 7-2 on the season. Vanderbilt now up to 23rd in the nation, with the big news here being Danny Valent winning his 11th straight match, 7-5, 6-3. And, a lot to be excited about there.
Yeah, a bit of an international battle between Danny Valent and Run Hao Hua, who's number 2 in his singles division in China. So certainly an interesting international battle there between the Wolverines and the Commodores. But Vanderbilt doing well, continuing to host events weekend in and weekend out as well, which has certainly been very helpful for them through this indoor season. And they'll be looking to continue to win. Suresh Eswaran, being a good senior leader, won his match in 3 sets after taking the first set 6-0. There you see Suresh, the final couple points there. So he won his match 6-0, then dropped the second set in a tiebreaker. Could have had the sweep there, but he won the final set 6-4 to take his singles match. There you see the good excitement there from the team in that win over Michigan. Vandy is now 7-2 on the season. They're ranked 23rd nationally, so that's certainly a good start to the indoor season for them as we move towards conference play for the men's tennis team as well. And the men's tennis team is going to be the focus of our Vanderbilt Star of the Week segment.
Yeah, Danny Valent, who, as we said earlier, 11 straight wins. Amanda?
Hey guys, I'm here with Danny Valent, who's our Athlete of the Week. He's a freshman on the tennis team who's been doing really well this season. He's had a super long win streak since November, and a few weeks ago he won SEC Freshman of the Week. So that's why we have him here as our Athlete of the Week. We're really excited to have you. Hey, Danny.
Hey.
So as some of our viewers may or may not know, Danny is from Switzerland. So what's the transition been like coming from Switzerland to America?
It's been a big transition. I mean, obviously, America and Switzerland, they're not the same, I mean, the people are much more open-minded, get to know a lot more people. It's easier to meet new people, and also sports it's much more important here, I mean, last weekend, Super Bowl, everybody was going crazy.
Yeah. So exciting.
Yeah.
In general, have you enjoyed it?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And how have classes been here?
Good. Yeah, I learned a lot of stuff, at classes that I didn't have in Switzerland. I'm in 2 music classes now, and
Wow.
I'm also in sociology. But yeah, most of all, I enjoy chemistry. Yeah.
Do you? You enjoy chemistry?
Yeah.
Well, that one's a tough one. And music is it's a good place to study music here in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
You enjoyed? Have you never taken anything like that before?
I mean, I've played trombone before
Oh, wow.
in primary school, but other than that, I've never really played an
Yeah.
instrument.
And has it been difficult or pretty easy? What do you think?
It's been difficult, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I find classes difficult too, so I can imagine what you must be thinking. So in ITA regionals last semester, you had to go up against your teammate AJ.
Mm-hmm.
So what was kind of your mindset going into that game? I mean, you obviously know him, and were you more competitive or less competitive than a normal match?
Yeah, it was a difficult situation for me because AJ is my teammate, but on the other hand, I was feeling really, I was feeling great because before I beat a couple of good players, one player from Memphis. And so I went into that match and I just wanted to give my best and see what happens. But on the other hand, I also have a ton of respect for AJ, what he's done for the team and what an athlete he is. So, yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys talk at all before the game, exchange any words before you played?
Yeah, we have the same locker room, so we're just joking. And yeah, it was a good atmosphere.
Was it fun to play him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always enjoy playing him.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how do you feel, coming up with the rest of the season? Do you feel any pressure to keep up your win streak, or do you not think about it so much?
I don't think about the win streak. I just want the team to succeed. I'd rather have the situation where I lose, but the team wins. And, something I've learned here in the United States is just the value of the team, always put the team first. And I just hope that we're going to be at the NCAAs and do well there.
Yeah, definitely. And keeping up the win streak would be nice too. But, all right, well, thank you, Danny. It's been so nice to have you, and we're really looking forward to see the further success that you have in this season. So back to you guys.
Thank you, Amanda. Now with me behind the desk is Allison Mast. And the big news today was that it is National Signing Day, where Vanderbilt picked up the 47th best recruiting class in the nation. Our arch nemesis and evil coaching twin, James Franklin, had the 26th best recruiting class for Penn State. So a little work to be done there. But the big news here is the #1 quarterback and #7 overall recruit in the state of Pennsylvania, Kyle Shermer, going to Vanderbilt. So take that. But one of the really exciting things, besides getting a guy named Jaire, is we've got Eddie George's son, Jaire.
Jaire? We haven't decided yet.
So Eddie Jr. is going to be one of the big recruits for them. Funny story, at 6'2", 215, didn't play running back his senior year because he broke something in his hand, but he is one of several big-time athletes that don't really have a position that Derek Mason's bringing in that should be pretty interesting. They recruited well in the Nashville area, bringing in Donovan Sheffield from Ensworth. We've already brought in a couple players from other years. And Josh Smith from Murfreesboro and Oakland High School, brother of Emmanuel Smith, was ranked 103rd in the nation, which is a huge get for Vanderbilt. But, of course, bringing in little Eddie Jr. is the big news here, because this is continuing a streak of family connections, of course. We had Jordan Rogers, brother of Aaron Rodgers, Wes Tate, son of Golden Tate, who, by the way, really got shafted in the name department. Golden Wesley. But Jordan Matthews, who's related to Jerry Rice, Stephen Rivers, Philip Rivers, Mike Yastrzemski, Carl Yastrzemski. So who's next, Allison?
Well, maybe Snoop Dogg's son will decide to transfer here. Mm-hmm. Who knows?
I've heard from sources Vanderbilt has already contacted the son of Candace Parker and Sheldon Williams' 5-year-old Lila. So watch out for that in women's basketball. Maybe LeBron's kid, he's got a little bit to go, but he can make an impact. You could see him next to in a future Stallings yelling at him. I could totally see that. You think
potentially, especially with Vanderbilt alum Lee Jenkins being a good friend of LeBron's.
Absolutely.
That could be a draw for him.
It's a great long-term play by Lee. You only talking, you're okay with talking to LeBron because really the long-term goal.
Yeah.
Down the road to get LeBron Jr.
But going back to Eddie George's son, people are saying he could be kind of I think he could be kind of a Jordan Matthews situation because he had that injury senior year, kind of flew under the radar during the recruiting process. If you check out his like rivals pages and all of that, they don't say much. So I think he was a 3-star, not a 2-star like J-Matt, but I feel like there's untapped potential there, and he could potentially be worth more than other schools thought.
Yeah, just a couple other names. Sources have told me about, Nomar and Mia Hamm have a 1-year-old, so watch out for that in bandy soccer. Sidell Curry could be good for the club volleyball team, potentially. But yeah, lots of endless potential, endless possibilities here. So now one other thing interesting that happened about the basketball game that we talked about earlier was they're doing all sorts of things to make sure that fans show up. They gave away sweatpants before the game at the practice on Monday, at halftime of this game. So what do you make out of all of this?
I think it's really uncharacteristic of Coach Stallings. I've never heard about him inviting students to a practice like he did. And also the way he's been trying to pump up the crowd. Before the first game of the season, he came over to the student section and thanked everyone for being there, which was very odd to me too. So I don't really know why he's suddenly changing after he's been his same curmudgeon-y self for so long. The only thing I could think of is maybe he saw the impact that Franklin, he really appealed to the students, very likable, spoke at a bunch of different events. Maybe Stallings is seeing that he could get some more student support and maybe wins in these close situations if he's actually reaches out a little bit.
We've seen the student section sort of dwindle since that syllabus week Auburn game to open SEC play, but it's really hard to get students excited when you have a 7-game losing streak in the last 2 years before this have not been particularly good. So I guess anything to get them in the stadium, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we are going to close off this show with our favorite recurring segment, Tweet of the Week. Allison?
So this week, our tweet was a little different. Someone tweeted this picture of a fancy car outside of Hawkins Field and asked David Price. He said, "I think I spotted your new whip at Vandy. Yeah, go Doors." But you know what? David Price didn't. Maybe it's, he kind of corrected this fan and said, "That's Corbin's car." So, pretty nice ride.
I'm sure Corbin is very comfortable in his economics. I think he could probably afford that car or a couple of those. Price too, though. He just got a $19.5 million deal in his last year of arbitration. He will be a free agent at the end of the year and be rolling in dough. Good God. We saw Clayton Kershaw get $30 million per year, and same for Max Scherzer. So, power lefty, can see that making a lot of money. Don't forget to donate to View Sports Wired, David. Can't forget about David. How could you forget about David? Unforgettable. All right, well, that'll do it for us here. For Allison Mast, Amanda Marco Tullio, and the rest of us, I'm Ben Weiner, and we will see you next week.